The night had begun with laughter, champagne, and the promise of elegance. Crystal chandeliers glowed across the hall, music drifted in gentle waves, and for a moment, Lady Mary felt almost at peace. But peace, in her world, never lasted long. "Lady Mary," came a quiet voice behind her. "Might I have a word?" She turned, graceful as ever, though something in the man's tone chilled her. "Of course, Mr. Lamar." "What is it?" He hesitated, glancing around the crowded ballroom where the guests danced beneath gold light. "I'm terribly sorry, my lady. A rather difficult matter has just come up." Her smile faltered. "What kind of matter?" Lamar lowered his voice. "A friend of mine just told me something that has, rather serious implications. It appears the evening paper has published news of your divorce." The laughter from the ballroom seemed to fade. Mary's heart gave one hard beat. "That's absurd," she said softly. "Who would print such nonsense?" "I'm afraid it's not nonsense, my lady," Lamar replied. "The decree was issued today. It's public." Her breath caught. "Then that explains the photographers outside." "I'm afraid it does." Lady Mary's father, standing nearby, heard the exchange. "What is this about the paper?" Lamar's face was pale. "I'm truly sorry, sir, but the royal guests, Prince and Princess Arthur of Cornwall, are on their way. Her Highness will not be able to appear in the same room as a divorced woman. Lady Mary must leave at once." The word struck like glass shattering. Mary looked from Lamar to her father. "You're asking me to leave? In front of everyone?" Lamar bowed his head. "Most reluctantly. But the royal family's reputation is delicate. I do apologize." Her father stepped forward, anger flashing beneath his gentleman's restraint. "You're expelling my daughter from your house. Have you no shame?" "I assure you, sir, the decision pains us all. But if word got out—" "Enough," Mary said quietly. "Papa, it's all right. Truly. I'll go." She turned to Lady Petersfield, the hostess, who looked torn between pity and protocol. "I should never have come," Mary said with quiet grace. "Forgive me for causing embarrassment." Before anyone could reply, she walked toward the hall, the sound of her heels echoing against marble. From behind her, she heard whispers ripple through the crowd. A servant hurried forward with her coat, avoiding her eyes. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady though her hands trembled. "I am sorry, my lady," the footman murmured. "So you keep saying," she answered, half to herself. As she stepped outside into the cold night, the music of the ballroom carried faintly through the doors. The celebration went on, untouched by her departure. Inside, the hostess turned to greet the royal couple with a flawless smile, as though nothing had happened. The orchestra swelled. The lights sparkled. And Lady Mary stood alone under the winter sky, watching her breath fade into the darkness. The morning light arrived cold and unforgiving. Servants whispered as they crossed the corridors, their words softened but never kind. The story was everywhere now, Lady Mary's name printed in black ink, her private sorrow made a public feast. Downstairs, the butler murmured to a maid, "We knew it would happen eventually. But not like this." The maid shook her head. "She doesn't deserve this. She's proud, but she's not cruel. She married a man who loved his cars more than his wife," the butler said. "And the world always finds a way to punish women for what men begin." In her room, Mary sat by the window, a cup of untouched tea cooling beside her. Her mother entered quietly, dressed in her usual calm perfection. "I've spoken with the papers. They'll print a correction. Or at least something softer." Mary smiled faintly. "There's no such thing as a soft scandal, Mama. You mustn't say such things. You're still respected, you still have friends." "Friends who won't invite me to dinner," Mary said gently. "Friends who will pretend I've gone abroad. Respect is a fragile gift, Mama. Once broken, it doesn't return. Her mother stood silent, the truth too heavy to deny. From the corner of the room, the maid Anna hesitated. "My lady, if I may speak." Mary turned, her tone kind but weary. "Please, Anna." "What is it?" "I just wanted to say, people still admire you. The staff do. You carry yourself as if nothing can touch you." Mary's eyes softened. "That's kind of you, Anna. But sometimes grace is just another word for loneliness." The words hung in the air, honest and unpolished. Outside, a carriage rattled down the drive. Mary's father stepped out and climbed the stairs, his expression drawn tight with the effort of appearing unbothered. He found her still seated by the window, the morning paper folded neatly in her lap. "Mary," he said, his voice breaking the silence. "How are you holding up?" "How does one measure disgrace, Papa?" she asked quietly. "By column inches or by the number of doors that close?" "Don't speak like that," he said gently. "You've done nothing wrong. Society doesn't care who's wrong. Only who's fallen." He moved closer, his tone softer. "When your mother and I married, we thought our world would never change. But it's changing all around us now. Perhaps it's time you stop asking to be forgiven by people who'll never understand you." She looked up at him then, truly looked, at the man who had once carried her on his shoulders through the gardens of Downton, who now seemed smaller, older, and yet wiser than ever before. "You think I should defy them?" she asked. "I think you already have," he said simply. "By walking out of that house with your head held high." For the first time since the night before, Mary's lips curved into something real. "Then maybe disgrace isn't the end of a life. Maybe it's the start of another." Her father nodded. "It always is, my dear. It always is." Downstairs, the doorbell rang again, another visitor, another whisper, another reminder that the world was still watching. Mary rose from her chair, her movements slow but steady. "Let them watch," she said under her breath. "Let them see I'm still standing." That afternoon, the house felt different. The air itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for something to change. Mary walked through the corridors she had known all her life, the polished floors, the portraits of ancestors staring down in judgment, the faint smell of lavender and thyme. Each step echoed with memory, each corner whispered of a life that no longer belonged to her. At the end of the hall, she found Anna and the other maids polishing silver in silence. They all paused when they saw her. "You needn't stop," Mary said softly. "The house doesn't revolve around my misfortunes." One of the maids, braver than the rest, said, "We only wanted to say, my lady, that whatever the papers write, we still think you're the finest woman in this house." A warm ache rose in Mary's chest. "That means more than you know," she said. "Because you've seen me as I truly am, not as I'm written." Her father joined her at the doorway, his expression softer than it had been in years. "They're waiting for you in the garden," he said. "Who is?" "Your mother. And half the village, it seems." Mary frowned, but curiosity won over dread. She followed him out through the grand doors, into the cool afternoon light. Outside, the villagers had gathered quietly. Some stood awkwardly, hats in hand. Others offered gentle smiles. There were no shouts, no judgment. Just people. Her mother stepped forward, eyes glistening. "They wanted to see you, Mary. Not the gossip. Not the headlines. You." For a moment, she couldn't speak. Then she straightened her shoulders and faced them all. "I'm not proud of everything that's happened," she said clearly. "But I refuse to be ashamed for choosing to live honestly. I will not hide because others find my life inconvenient." A murmur rippled through the crowd, not of disapproval, but of admiration. Her father's voice joined hers. "She's still my daughter. Still Lady Mary of this house. That hasn't changed." Applause began softly, growing as the sound spread among the people. It was not grand or theatrical, just genuine, like rain after drought. Mary blinked back tears. For the first time in months, she felt the weight lift, not because the world had forgiven her, but because she had stopped begging it to. Later that evening, as the sun began to fall, she walked out into the garden alone. The roses glowed red in the fading light. The air smelled of damp earth and freedom. She thought of Henry, the man who had once promised her the world and left her with its shadow. There had been love once, yes. But love built on vanity always cracks. "I forgive you," she whispered into the wind. "But I won't be defined by you." Behind her, footsteps approached, her father again, perhaps, or Anna. She didn't turn. She didn't need to. "I'm not leaving this place in shame," she said aloud. "I'm staying because it's mine." The sky deepened into gold. Somewhere in the house, a piano began to play softly, a melody both mournful and resolute. Mary lifted her chin, her eyes catching the last light of day. In that moment, she wasn't the fallen lady of the papers or the scandal whispered about at tea. She was simply Mary. A woman no longer running from the ruin of her name. A woman walking straight through it, towards something freer, truer, and entirely her own. And as the last note of music drifted across the garden, she smiled, a small, steady smile that carried everything she had lost, and everything she had become.